2022, 15 marks. There were also many questions in UPSC. I have given you few examples like Rawls' idea of liberal self is too individualistic. Explain in this context the communitarian critique of Rawls' theory of justice. Similarly, there is also another question. Dr. Ambedkar's idea of social justice leads to egalitarian justice as compared to Rawls' justice as fairness, which aims at the notion of pure procedural justice. Comment. So these three questions are different types of questions based on John Rawls. If the question is asked based on Rawls' theory of justice is both contractual and distributive, then we need to examine what are the contractual elements and what are the distributive elements of John Rawls' theories of justice. Let us understand and try to inculcate in our understanding in our classes. So justice theory, Rawls' theory of justice, this is how we are going to explain in depth. Students, interestingly, if we look into the overview of John Rawls, there are many key contributions to the political philosophy. Like, for an example, he is a prominent political philosopher. John Rawls was a leading American political philosopher who has influenced thoughts and who has shaped many visions, many societal changes into our modern era. At the same time, his work based on a theory of justice, which was published in 1971, it redefined the political philosophy. The theory of justice, the paper which was published, was primarily based on modern political philosophy, focusing on justice and fairness as well as equality. Justice, fairness, equality. At the same time, if we look into the John Rawls theory of justice, the Rawls theory offers a very beautiful framework in determining what justice should look like to our society, and the concept of justice can be inculcated while making policies, while making decisions, as well as in our society and day-to-day life. Let us understand further and try to inculcate in our classes. So if we one of the aspect, as I told, that fairness, justice and equality, if we look into the justice as fairness concept, so there are a couple of things which we need to understand. Let us first understand what exactly Rawls defines as a justice. Rawls says justice as a fairness, and he says that what do you mean by fairness? Fairness means fair treatment of everyone. At the same time, equality in the institution. When there is a fairness, when there is a fair treatment, irrespective of social status, then when there is an equality in different types of institutions, then you say it is a justice, said by John Rawls. Now, further, if you look into, he has given a couple of concepts like original position and veil of ignorance. What he says that, just imagine your situation, you are born in a society where there is no religion, there is no caste, and you do not know anyone of their status. Just imagine a baby, a 1 year or 2 year old baby, when the baby or when the toddler tries to interact with another toddler or another baby, he or she doesn't know the status of another person. So that is basically called as veil of ignorance. But as the time passes, as the age passes, we come to know about various societal strata. We try to understand various nuances of our society, like what is the caste structure, what is the societal status. So when we talk to one person or another, so many of the societal stances like status, caste system, religion, etc. also influences our conversation. But that doesn't happen when you look into the aspect of a baby's point of view or a child's point of view, isn't it? So, two principles of justice ensures equal basic liberties of all. At the same time, accept inequality only if it benefits the least advantages. So, he is suggesting we can or we may accept inequality if the least disadvantages, those who are least disadvantages, if they are getting benefited, probably then only we can accept the inequality at the last option. So if we look into the contractual, the elements, the question's purpose was contractual, the elements. So there are basically two scenarios of John Rawls when we try to examine. One is the contractual, another one is distributive elements. Further, if we look into the contractual elements, there are two things which John Rawls has said. Number one, the original position and veil of ignorance, which I just spoke about it. Second one is principles of justice as a social contract. These two concepts are coming under contractual element of John Rawls theory. So at the same time, distributive, there are two further things. One is equal basic liberties and another one is difference principles. So students, what is this contractual and what is this distributive? We are going to understand over a period of time. But in a nutshell, I would say contractual is based on contract, based on social contract. That means the original position where nobody knows about the status, how are you reacting in the society is the contractual policy or the contractual element. But when you talk about the distributive element, then ultimately the distribution, whatever happening to the society, be it economical distribution or be it some kind of aids, there has to be equality in the distribution. That is the concept what John Rawls is talking about. So further going, if we look into the contractual, as I told, the original position and the veil of ignorance, John Rawls has introduced the concept of original position as a hypothetical scenario where individuals come together to choose principles of justice. These individuals are behind a veil of ignorance, meaning they don't know their social economical status, they don't know about their talents, or even they do not know about the conception of what is good and what is bad. So this ensures, the veil of ignorance ensures that the principles choose are fair, impartial, as no one can advantageously tailor the rules of their own benefit. So this is what we are understanding, the original position. But if you look into the principle of justice as a social contract, here in this particular concept, this is an original position. It can be seen as a kind of social contract. So they represent an agreement among free and equal persons about how to organize the society. The contractual aspect emphasizes the importance of voluntary agreement and legitimacy principles among them. I hope you have understood what is contractual, the original position and the principle of justice. Okay. Now, if you look into the distributive elements, as I said, that it focuses on the distribution. So equal basic liberties as well as the difference principles. The distributive elements, like two principles here we are talking about. The first principle, equal basic liberties. This talks about each person has equal right to the most extensive basic liberties, compatibility with similar liberty of others. This includes freedom of speech and expression, conscience, assembly, and political participation. At the same time, if we look into the difference principles, it says that social and economical inequalities are to be arranged so that they are both to the greatest benefit of the least advantaged. As I told earlier also, that inequality can be treated if the least disadvantages can be benefited out of it. So this principle focuses on ensuring that the benefits of social cooperation are distributed fairly, particularly to those who are most disadvantaged. So students, we have understood what is contractual, what is distributive. Let us understand also in a nutshell. Now, first concept, as I already have explained, related to the Rawls, the justice, contractual aspect. So it talks about basically the 3 points. Number 1 point is contractualism. What is contractualism? John Rawls uses the social contract theory to define justice, emphasizing on there has to be a mutual agreement. Similarly, it also says that the original position is nothing but a hypothetical position where individuals agrees on societal principles. At the same time, veil of ignorance, it says it ensures fairness by preventing the biasness choosing justice principles because nobody knows about the status or nobody knows about the talent or nothing. So they will always treat everyone equally. At the same time, if you look into more principles of justice, foundation concepts of equality, he is saying the first principle of justice is equal liberty. Okay, so equal liberty, everyone should have equal rights to basic freedom, like everyone must have freedom of speech and expression, freedom to assemble, freedom of life. At the same time, he is also talking about the difference principles where he is saying, as I have already explained, that the least advantages inequality may be allowed if the least disadvantages group of our society or the social strata are getting benefited. And the second principle is based on the fair equality of opportunity, where everybody should get an opportunity to regardless of their background. So if you look into the Article 14 of our Indian Constitution, Article 14 exactly talks about the equality before the law and the equal protection of law. It means equality before the law, in the eyes of law, everyone is equal. But at the same time, the equal protection of law is specifically talking about the protection of the minorities or protection of the least disadvantaged of our society. So the law will protect everyone equally. These are two different meanings. Now, if we going further related to this justice as a distributive aspect, which I have already explained, the distributive justice, it focuses on allocation, the distribution or allocation of goods and resources within the society. At the same time, it has to be based on equal liberty, the difference principles, and the contract with the utilitarianism. So students, I hope you have understood this much of concept related to distributive and contractual. Now, if we look into the principle of justice, what is the summary? The contractual justice focuses on, it's a rational agreement between among individuals based on under fairness of conditions. But if we look into the distributive justice, it focuses on fair distribution of resources, opportunities using different principles. Okay, so going further now, justice, if we look into the distributive aspect, we have discussed the fair allocation. That is what we have spoken about it. Now going further, now if we philosophy of overview look into it, now the key principles and criticisms of John Rawls. First is Rawls versus utilitarianism. John Rawls, he challenges the utilitarianism by focusing on justice, not utility. So utilitarianism means those who believe in utility aspect. For example, if you try to buy a product, or if you try to buy a service, or if you try to buy anything, then you think about what is the utility of having that particular product. But here John Rawls is saying that we must serve the society based on justice, not just based on the utility. So here is one of the criticism, Rawls versus utilitarianism. At the same time, if you look into the justice as a fairness, the John Rawls always says that if the fair institutions principles, there must be equality, there must be justice within the fair institutions. So critic says that difference principles, it may allow too much of inequality despite fair intentions. Yes, that is very much correct. At the same time, there is also criticisms. The John Rawls theories of justice is bit of idealism in nature. Okay. Now, moving forward, going into the Rawls theory in practice, is the John Rawls theories of justice in practice? What is the social and political aspect? Now, there are three things. One is influence on welfare state. Okay, when John Rawls is talking about the justice, fairness, and equality, the current scenario can be influenced with the influence on welfare state, and much more debate can be inculcated. At the same time, as I also mentioned in earlier before couple of minutes, I said that public policies, or when the government is trying to formulate certain policies, John Rawls really can be an instrumental in delivering or shaping the public policies towards more justiciable and towards more fairnessable and towards more equitable society. At the same time, the policies reducing poverty alignment and John Rawls theories can be one of the advantages tool. So students and friends, the final insight, if we look into it, one is there should be integration between contractual and distributive elements. We need to have a contractual elements as well as the distributive elements. That means the social contract framework which John Rawls is talking about also needs to inculcate the elements of the distributive or the allocation of resources so that it can be together. At the same time, veil of ignorance concept without any personal biasness, it ensures fairness without any personal biasness, because nobody knows about the status. If we look into the difference principles, it says guarantees justice by allowing inequalities if they benefit the least advantage. At the same time, the foundation work in political philosophy, it always advocates a balance between freedom, a balance between fairness and equality. There needs to be a balance between freedom, equality, fairness. Okay, so that is what John Rawls is talking about related to the overall things. Now, I hope you have understood this particular video and related to explain the contractual nature and distributive nature of John Rawls theory. So I would encourage each and everyone to make a comment about the Rawls justice principles, and let me know if I can be helpful, and let me know what do you think about John Rawls theories of justice. Till then, thank you so much for watching this video. I'll come up with some of the new topics in couple of upcoming videos. Thank you so much.